We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Israel keeps up Lebanon attacks, pounds Yemeni port city of Hodeidah as US President Biden to talk to Netanyahu soon, says all-out war in Middle East has to be avoided.
We've already taken precautions relative to our embassies and personnel who want to leave. But we're not there yet, but we're working like hell with the French and many others to see the real world.
Another boost to Europe's far-right surge as Austria's Freedom Party celebrates unprecedented election victory. Party's leader Herbert Kickl calls it an opening of a new era. Japan incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba hints on snap elections late in October ahead of his swearing-in on Tuesday. Nikkei plunges over 4% as investors worry about Ishiba's support for higher interest rates. Rescuers struggle to reach the stranded after Hurricane Helene leaves around 1,300 dead and a huge trail of destruction in its wake. President Biden to visit affected areas this week. In India, flood alert for 13 districts of northern state of Bihar after Nepal releases water from barrages. Torrential rains in Nepal leave 170 dead. Schools remain shut. And on to the details now. Israel has launched airstrikes on Yemen targeting Houthi-controlled sites on Sunday. The targets included power plants and a seaport, which were used by the Houthis to transfer Iranian weapons to the region, in addition to military supplies and oil. Israel Defense Forces said the airstrikes on Yemen's port of Hodeidah were a response to Houthi missile attacks on Israel in recent days. Israel's military said it struck dozens of targets in Lebanon, including launchers and weapon stores, and had intercepted 8 projectiles coming from the direction of Lebanon and 1 from the Red Sea. The strikes took place as Israel attacked more targets in Lebanon, where its intensifying bombardment over 2 weeks has killed a string of top Hezbollah leaders. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden has said that he would speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as tensions in the West Asia increase following Israel's assassination of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Talking to reporters, Biden said he believes that an all-out conflict in the West Asia must be avoided.
We really have to avoid it. We've already taken precautions relative to our embassies and personnel who want to leave. But we're not there yet, but we're working like hell with the French and many others to see the real world. Thank you.
Well, in a significant move, Gideon Sa'ar, leader of the New Hope Party, on Sunday rejoined Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. The decision was announced by Sa'ar and Netanyahu in a joint press conference. Sa'ar, who has been one of Netanyahu's most vocal critics in the past few years, is due to serve as a minister without a portfolio and have a seat in the Prime Minister's security cabinet. By joining the government with his 4-seat party, Sa'ar will give Netanyahu a solid majority of 68 in the 120-seat parliament.
I appreciate the fact that Gideon Sa'ar accepted my request and agreed today to return to the government. This move contributes to the unity within us, also contributes to the unity against our enemies. During the discussions of the political and security cabinet, I was very impressed by Sa'ar's broad vision and his ability to offer creative solutions to complicated problems. More than once, we have seen eye to eye the steps needed to be taken.
Citizens of Israel, our beloved country, has been for nearly a year in a fierce war on several fronts. This is a historical test that we only have one way to deal with it, to have the upper hand.
And moving on, Austria's far right topped national elections on Sunday, marking a historic victory. This victory is only the latest in a string of far right election successes in Europe. Austria's far right Freedom Party leader Herbert Kickl celebrated an unprecedented election victory and said this win has opened the door to a new era. Projected results gave Kickl's party 28.8%, more than 2 points ahead of the Conservative People's Party on 26.3%, but far short of a majority. While the Freedom Party has served in coalition governments before, this is the first time it has won a national vote, as far-right parties across Europe have made gains. There was a huge turnout of 78% as Austria's 6.3 million voters took part in an election dominated by the twin issues of migration and asylum, as well as a flagging economy and the war in Ukraine. Well, French far-right leader Marine Le Pen said she was delighted with the Freedom Party's victory. She hailed what she called a groundswell that carries the defense of national interest, the safeguarding of identities and the resurrection of sovereignties. And Japan's incoming new Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba plans to call a snap general election for late October. Ishiba won the leadership of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party on Friday and was expected to be sworn in as Prime Minister on Tuesday. As per media reports, Ishiba is finalizing plans to dissolve Parliament on October 9th ahead of general elections on October 27th. Former Defense Minister Ishiba replaced Fumio Kishida as a leader of the LDP, which has governed Japan almost uninterrupted for decades. The unpopular Kishida resigned in the wake of a damaging party slush fund scandal, which added to his unpopularity among voters angry at rising prices. And Japanese equities plunged on Monday on the back of concerns that incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba will hike taxes in the world's fourth biggest economy. Japan's key Nikkei index fell over 4% after former Defense Minister Shigeru Ishiba was elected head of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Ishiba, set to become Prime Minister on Tuesday, has said he supports the Bank of Japan raising interest rates, while investors are also worried he might raise taxes. An update on U.S. presidential elections now. At a rally in Pennsylvania, Donald Trump unleashed a sharp criticism at his 2024 presidential rival, Vice President Kamala Harris, calling her stupid and said she should be prosecuted for her alleged failure to stop illegal migrants from entering the U.S. and committing crimes. Former President Donald Trump cited U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement data claiming over 13,000 convicted migrant killers remain free, alleging Harris let them in. However, DHS officials later clarified that the data spans several decades and many of these migrants are in custody. Pennsylvania, a key battleground state in the upcoming election, has become central to Trump's campaign as both he and Harris vie for its critical electoral college votes. Trump's rally marks his fourth campaign stop in the state this month, underscoring its importance.
Already hundreds of people have been murdered because of her action at the border, and thousands more will follow in rapid succession. She should be impeached and prosecuted for her actions.
While moving on, in United States, Hurricane Helene caused massive destruction in Florida. Cleanup and recovery efforts are underway on an hard-hit Horseshoe Beach, which some houses were reduced to rubble. The storm has killed at least 100 people, while it is feared still more bodies would be discovered. Power was out for millions as winds, rain and storms surged from Helene, destroyed roads and bridges and caused catastrophic flooding from Florida to Virginia. Damage estimates ranged from $15 billion to more than $100 billion, insurers and forecasters said over the weekend. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden called the impact of Hurricane Helene as tragic and noted that FEMA teams were already on the ground in Florida. Biden drew attention to the disparity in damage assessments between local authorities and federal agencies and described the devastation as stunning. He assured that the federal government had deployed significant resources in advance, even beyond what had been requested.
Yes, it's tragic. Matter of fact, we're trying to get the exact number. My FEMA advisor is on the ground in Florida right now. There's a distinction between the numbers that FEMA's used and the ones that are used by the locals. So it really is amazing. You saw the photographs. It's stunning.
Well, at least 170 people have been killed as persistent downpours triggered flooding and landslides in Nepal, closing major roads and disrupting domestic air travel. Some parts of the capital reported rain of up to 322.2 mm, pushing the level of its main Bagmati river past the danger mark. Weather officials blamed the rainstorms on a low-pressure system in the Bay of Bengal, extending over parts of neighboring India close to Nepal. The impact of the rains was aggravated by poor drainage due to unplanned settlement and urbanization efforts, construction on floodplains, lack of areas for water retention, and encroachment on the Bagmati River. And moving on, residents in southwestern Mexico on Saturday evacuated from homes flooded by the remnants of the Hurricane John that ravaged the Pacific coastline for a week. Bringing deadly floods and landslides had left 22 people reported dead. John rapidly strengthened into a major hurricane on Monday before tearing into Guerrero. It dissipated, then reformed offshore, and for the rest of the week skimmed the coastline north, bringing torrential rain and floods. John began dissipating on Friday and is no longer considered an active storm. Meteorologists say warmer ocean temperatures are giving more fuel to hurricanes, allowing them to become stronger faster and leaving coastal communities less time to brace for their blow. Meanwhile, a flood alert has been sounded in 13 districts of Indian state of Bihar, situated along the swollen Kosi, Gandak and Ganga rivers. Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai held a meeting with NDRF on flood situation in Patna on September 29th. In Araria district, houses and railway tracks were inundated due to a flood-like situation, and several train operations were also affected. Farmers in North Bihar are also affected by the unexpected late-season floods. The Indian Meteorological Department predicted heavy rain and warned of flash flood risk in parts of the state. And news from around the world now. Ahead of China's National Day on October 1st, over 20,000 residents flocked to the Macau Bridge for a 6 kilometers fun walk. Organizations supporting individuals with disabilities were also included in the event to promote the message of equality, diversity, and inclusion. Colombia's rare and pointedly Inarida flower has been chosen as the emblem of COP16 UN Biodiversity Conference to be held in Cali from October 21st to November 1st. 33-year-old chef Renas Purmalis won 2024 World Oyster Opening Championship in Galway in Ireland. An annual test of the skill known as shucking is judged in the contest. It is the world's longest-running oyster festival held in the Irish city since 1954. Well, thousands gathered in New York City's Central Park for the annual Global Citizen Festival with a lineup of Hollywood singers Doja Cat, Post Malone and artist Lisa. The Global Citizen Festival is an annual musical festival held by the organization Global Citizen, which aims to end extreme poverty. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. In a bid to solidify the long-standing bonds between Jamaica and India, Prime Minister of Jamaica will pay an official visit to India from 30th September to 3rd of October. India's Supreme Court to hear RG Kar case on Monday. Doctors may resume cease work if demands not implemented. And Travis Head stars as Australia beats England 3-2 to seal ODI series win.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You are watching DD India Live. I'm Lepak Shukran, and moving on with an aim to bolster bilateral relations, enhance economic cooperation and strengthen long-standing ties between Jamaica and India. Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, will pay an official visit to India from 30th September to 3rd of October. This will be his first visit to India and also the first ever bilateral visit of a Prime Minister of Jamaica to India. During the visit, Prime Minister Holness will hold delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and call on President and Vice President of India. A number of MOUs are expected to be signed during the visit, giving a fillip to bilateral cooperation. India and Jamaica share strong historical and cultural linkages reflected in their shared colonial past, values of democracy and freedom, and passion for cricket. Well, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir all geared up for the third and final phase of voting for assembly elections scheduled for October 1st. Voting for the third and final phase, covering 40 assembly segments across 7 districts, Jammu, Udhampur, Samba and Katwa in Jammu region, and Baramulla, Bandipora and Kupwara in North Kashmir, to be held on Tuesday. The electoral fate of 415 candidates are in stake for this phase of Tuesday. The voter turnout was robust in the earlier phases, with 61.38% participation recorded in the first phase on September 18th and 57.31% in the second phase on the 26th of September. The results set to be announced on the 8th of October. And in Kolkata, West Bengal Junior Doctors Front organized a torch rally across Kolkata on Sunday ahead of hearing on the case in the Supreme Court today. Junior doctors say they have planned a mass rally with complete seizure on 2nd of October if they do not get anything fruitful in the Supreme Court hearing. The protesting doctors' remark comes a day after 3 doctors and 3 nurses were assaulted after the death of a patient at the College of Medicine in Sigor Datta Hospital near Kolkata on 27th of September. The doctor criticized the West Bengal government for not taking the security measures seriously. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. In the 5th day Sanji Mahotsav, many Indian folk artists showcase their art at Rakshans Mahadi Sthal in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh for the promotion of Sanji art and ancient folk arts of Braj. Sanji Mahotsav is celebrated across various states of India. And updates from the world of sports now. Moving on, first up in cricket, Travis Head starred with both bat and ball as world champions Australia beat England by 49 runs in a rain-marred 5th and final one-day international at Bristol on Sunday to complete a 3-2 series win. England was set for a huge total when opener Ben Duckett and informed captain Harry Brook shared a third wicket stand of 132 in 98 balls. However, after 202 for 2, slow bowling proved England's undoing as they lost their last 8 wickets for another 107 runs. England were dismissed for 309, with part-time spinner Travis Head taking an ODI best 4 for 28. Meanwhile, for Australia, Matthew Short and Head made a blistering start to the chase with an opening stand of 78, and when rain stopped play, Australia were 165 for 2 off 20.4 overs, well ahead of the target required under the Ducksworth-Lewis turn method. And Spain's Carlos Alcaraz entered into the quarter-finals of the China Open on Sunday with a comfortable 6-1, 6-2 victory over Talon Greg Spoor. In the process, the 4-time Grand Slam champion also brought up his 200th tour-level win. Alcaraz was in a dominant position in Beijing, winning 100% of his first serve points in the 57-minute demolition. The world number 3 will play Karen Khachanov in the last 8 after the Russian defeated Francisco Cirondola 7-6, 7-6. And Tottenham's Hotspur defeated 10-man Manchester United 3-0 in the Premier League on Sunday with goals from Brennan Johnson, Dejan Kulusevski and Dominic Solanke. After captain Bruno Fernandes was sent off in the 42nd minute for a high challenge, United struggled. Meanwhile, Spurs took the lead early when Mickey Van de Ven set up Johnson for an easy tap-in. They doubled their lead shortly after half-time when Dejan Kulusevski scored with a clever finish. Solanke sealed the victory in the 77th minute, tapping in a header from a corner. With this win, Tottenham moved to 8th in the table with 10 points, while United remained in 12th with 7 points. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.